All right,
Set up the
President, we're
back
on.
pictures after you come in.
Welcome to press availability on day 3. We are working through bills. We got through a few in the Senate today. Sometimes people question why there's not a lot of debate on bills in the early part of the session. But these are bills that have been worked on extensively during our interim period, which is prior to our legislative session. And so there's been a lot of eyes on these bills. And there still is a few questions, but many bills passed without a lot of questions because we're well aware of the issue and have had our questions answered before. We'll get into more controversial bills as we get in later on in the next coming weeks. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up to questions for those who are here, and those who are watching. If you have any questions, please give us a text and we'll try and answer your question through the internet.
Yesterday, your caucus talked about SB 54. Could you talk a little bit about that? Did you come to any conclusions, or what was the discussion like?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Actually, we just had a really good discussion about kind of where we are with that, knowing that there's a lawsuit that's been filed by the Republican Party, and there's going to continue to be a continued discussion. There are some bills that have been filed and opened and have language now, I believe already, that may modify SB 54 from last year. There was a discussion about whether we should do that. And what happens with the lawsuit may have a lot to do with what happens there. But we had a discussion. We took no motions. There was no straw poll or anything like that to see where we are at this point. It was just informational, and had a good discussion. But we're probably, it's a little bit premature to kind of gauge where the caucus is on any action that may be taken there.
I think the only bill that Senator Jenkins has a bill to
On that.
remove the independents from voting in, or give the option to the party to close their primary, and that's in government ops. It's Senate Bill 40-something.
43, I believe.
I think he introduced his constitutional amendment too.
Yeah,
At least
I think
it's online.
that's something's resolution number 2.
Do you have any feelings on whether SB 54 should be changed or not, yourselves? Are you still thinking?
I think we're probably still a little bit premature even for that. I'm really interested myself in the discussion, and I'd like to hear a good discussion about where to go with that from the caucus. We have a great caucus and some great people in there. I'd like to kind of feel out where everybody is, and I tend to lean towards, at this point, Senate Bill 54 having been a compromise kind of a bill that we did last year in good faith with those people that we were working with, and I think that's probably why it passed both houses. So if there are some good ideas that we need to take a look at that would adjust that or change it in some way, I'm open to those ideas. But my first thought is we did something last year to work with the community, those people that had brought, Count My Vote folks that had brought that effort before us. So that's, I think I'm still open on that.
I was part of the team that helped negotiate that last year, and so anything that would come to amend it would have to be an improvement in my mind to that process. And so I'm going to be pretty my personal vote would probably be pretty resistant to any change.
There are 2 issues that are sort of left to be resolved in it, though. The plurality issue, what happens if somebody doesn't get 50% in the primary, and then the other one is there's been talk of changing the implementation date from 2016 to 2018. Those are sort of the 2 tweaks that I guess I've heard suggested. Did you guys talk about the plurality issue, how to deal with that?
Nor the other
the
issue
other.
in caucus yesterday.
No.
did we?
No discussion
We
on
were
it.
just discussed a couple of the Senate bills and just the SB 54 in general.
Okay.
Are those House bills?
I haven't seen legislation on either. I've just heard that as discussion topics that are out there, you know. I know the party wants to change the implementation date, and then
I've heard that, but I haven't seen where the bill's coming from.
it seems like they
Within
should
our
be
own
able to
body.
find a Republican somewhere up here.
I understand there's also some questions about the actual flow of how it actually works.
Mhm.
And they may find in going through that there's some glitches there that need to be answered rather than just guess at it.
So those types of things, I think, would make a lot of sense to address personally. Senator Davis, do you-
You know, we've not had discussion in our caucus about any of this issue. We believe that primaries should be open, and everyone should be able to vote in a primary. Though I also believe personally that parties should be the ones who are making the decision on who their candidates are.
Can I ask a question about the announcement yesterday? I know you probably covered a lot of this in yesterday's briefing. One of the things the church seemed to be asking for is an individual religious liberty right. Not just that churches can do what they want or can't be compelled to do something, but individuals based on their own conscience can't be compelled to do something. Is there a way to establish that right in law without creating a loophole in the anti-discrimination bills?
Senator Adams, pretty close to that. Wanna?
I thought it was refreshing for the LDS Church and I think courageous for them to step forward. And freedom for all is hopefully not a new concept in America, that we have the ability to live in harmony and peace with our neighbors. And how to define that is always a little bit of a challenge, but I hope that as we move forward on it, I hope the answer to that is absolutely yes. We're founded on, great principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we all ought to be given the protections and the opportunities that come with the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, and Declaration, and I think I'm actually pretty excited to see stakeholders come forward, and this is a great process, and look forward to the outcome.
I don't think the church is going to make a statement with regards to that without there being some legal basis. And so that's a discovery that the legislature is still going to go through. And of course, we're going to look and see how those could be welded together. Have you had any thoughts about that, Senator Backus?
Thank you, President, for inviting me. It's something new for me to talk to the media. So good invitation.
Well,
Look,
don't be too nervous. You'll be fine.
I just disagree a little bit with the premise of the question. I mean, I don't think the LDS Church they have said that they are for religious liberty. But I think I don't know that they have gone beyond that to say we're for this part of religious liberty or that part of religious liberty or where it goes. So I think that they're getting a lot of input now about, does that mean the First Amendment, or does it mean this, or does it mean that, and how does it play out? So I think that's a question that wasn't decided yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves, and Senator Urquhart and I are an ongoing discussion about, can we find enough religious liberty to go along with the very strong statement on non-discrimination, and I hope and I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to do that, because we're setting a template not just for Utah, but for a lot of the nation and actually the world on how these things can be balanced in a piece of legislation to protect everybody's religious liberty and also not discriminate. So I think what we're doing is really important. as a legislature.
What's the famous phrase, the devil's in the details?
I think everybody has a right to government, to address their government. And I think when we take a look at that, we need to make sure that if government has made something legal, a practice of marriage or whatever, legal, then the thing is we need to accommodate all citizens equally.
Okay.
Other questions? That was a great discussion. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks to everyone. Anybody, I guess no tweets or,
Not yet.
all right.
Gotta rally 'em.
We kind of mixed up the time on them yesterday, so.
They give us a couple
Well, we
more minutes.
encourage
it'll be
those
too
out there to really get engaged, ask us questions.
Give us.
Is someone doing 10%?